You're walking into Dollar Tree with a $5 bill and a dream, thinking you're outsmarting the system. But as someone who spent years running those stores, staring at the inventory manifests and watching the discards pile up, I have to tell you that everything's $1. 25-inch sign is a psychological trap. Most people think they're saving money, but in reality, they're paying a premium for products that are often expired, toxic, or literally designed to fail before you even get them to your car. Look, I get it. The inflation we've seen over the last couple of years has been brutal. We're all trying to stretch a buck. But after managing thousands of shipments and seeing what actually happens behind those double doors in the back, I realized that some of these deals are actually costing you double in the long run. There are 6 specific aisles where I would never, ever let my own family shop. If you think a bargain is always a win, stick with me for a second, because what I'm about to show you is going to change the way you look at that green and yellow storefront forever. Before we get into the first danger zone, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button if you're tired of being overcharged for underperforming products. We're deep diving into the retail secrets they don't want you to know, and you won't want to miss the rest of this breakdown. The biggest trick in the book starts right at the front of the store, and it's something most shoppers never even think to check. Here's the secret. The value is an illusion. You see a brand name bottle of dish soap or a box of cereal and think, wow, it's only $1.25. But have you actually looked at the weight? This is where the shrinkflation at dollar stores becomes a science. They aren't selling you the same products you see at Target or Walmart for less. They are selling you custom-sized, boutique versions of those products that actually cost more per ounce than the jumbo versions at the big box stores. But it gets worse than just bad math. We're talking about actual safety risks. Take the electrical aisle, for example. In my years as a manager, I saw more returns for melted extension cords and sparking power strips than I care to admit. When you're buying a charging cable for your $1,000 iPhone for the price of a candy bar, you aren't getting a deal. You're inviting a fire hazard into your bedroom. These items often bypass the rigorous UL testing that name brands undergo. You're essentially betting your home's electrical system on a product that costs 15 cents to manufacture. Now, you might be asking, Cody, surely the cleaning supplies are safe, right? Soap is soap. I wish that were true. But there is a reason some of those off-brand cleaners smell like a chemical plant. When we would unload those pallets, the fumes alone were enough to give the stock crew headaches. Many of these bottom-tier cleaners contain high concentrations of 1,4-dioxane or phthalates that have been phased out by major retailers, but still find a home on the discount shelves. You think you're cleaning your kitchen, but you might just be coating your counters and stuff you definitely don't want near your food. And speaking of food, we need to talk about the one aisle that kept me up at night as a manager. It's the place where best-by dates go to die, and if you aren't careful, it's the easiest way to end up with a nasty case of food poisoning. Now, that food aisle? It's a literal minefield. As a manager, my biggest headache wasn't the inventory, it was the recalls. Just recently, we've seen major headlines about lead contamination in products that were sitting right there on the shelves for months. I'm talking about things like the Supreme Tradition ground cinnamon and those fruit puree pouches marketed for kids. The FDA literally had to step in because the lead levels were hundreds of times higher than what's considered safe. And here's the kicker. Even after the recalls were issued, some stores were so understaffed or poorly managed that those contaminated products stayed on the shelves for days, sometimes weeks. If you have that cinnamon in your pantry right now, pause this video and go check the label. It is not worth the risk for $1.25. But it's not just the heavy metals. Have you ever noticed the canned goods? You see a dented can and think, No big deal. It's still sealed. Wrong. In the world of discount shipping, those cans are often handled roughly to save on logistics costs. A dented can, especially on the seam, is a breeding ground for botulism. I've had to toss entire cases because they were puffed or leaking. If you're buying canned veggies here, you better be a detective with that inspection. And don't even get me started on the shelf-stable milk. Yes, it's technically milk, but it's processed with ultra-high temperature, UHT treatment so it can sit in a warehouse for a year. Safe, sure, but the taste and texture are. Well, let's just say it's not what you want on your morning cereal. Plus, when you look at the price per quart, you're usually paying way more than you would for a fresh gallon at a grocery store. Now, let's slide over to the beauty and hygiene aisle. This is where the dupe culture really lures people in. You see these serums and moisturizers that look exactly like the $50 versions at Sephora. The packaging is spot on, and they use the right buzzwords like hyaluronic acid or retinol. But here's the industry secret. Ingredients are listed by concentration. In a dollar store dupe, that active ingredient you're looking for is often at the very bottom of the list, meaning it's barely there. You're essentially buying a bottle of water and glycerin with a fancy label. But the real hard pass in this aisle is the sunscreen. We used to stock a brand called Max Block. People love it because it's cheap and says SPF 30. But multiple reports have shown that while it might stop you from getting a red sunburn, UVB rays, its protection against the deep penetrating UVA rays, the ones that actually cause skin cancer and premature aging, is almost non-existent. You think you're protected at the beach, but your skin is actually taking a beating. Here's a quick engagement check. Have you ever tried a dollar store beauty hack that actually worked, or did it end in a breakout? Tell me in the comments, because I've seen some horror stories. We're about to head into the final two aisles, the ones that are arguably the most deceptive in the entire store. One of them involves your kids, and the other is something you probably buy every single week without thinking twice. If you think the risky skincare was bad, wait until we hit the toy aisle. This is where my heart really sank as a manager. You see a colorful superhero action figure or a set of building blocks and think, what's the harm? It's just $1.25 to keep the kids busy. But here's the reality. Discount toys are notorious for containing high levels of phthalates and lead in the paint. Because these items are produced at such a massive scale for such a low price point, quality control is often the first thing to go. I've seen cheap plastic toys literally snap in a child's hand, leaving behind jagged, razor-sharp edges. And those button batteries? In some of these off-brand electronics, the battery compartments aren't even screwed shut properly. If a child swallows one of those, it's a life-threatening emergency in minutes. It's the one aisle where saving money can have a devastating cost. But it's not just the dangerous stuff. It's the stuff that's just a straight-up scam. Let's talk about the office and school supply aisle, specifically, the electronics and batteries. You see a pack of 4 heavy-duty AA batteries for $1.25. You think you're winning. But if you look closely at the label, they usually say zinc chloride. These aren't alkaline batteries like Duracell or Energizer. Zinc chloride batteries have about a quarter of the lifespan. If you put them in a high-drain device like a digital camera or a gaming controller, they'll be dead in 20 minutes. Even worse, they are famous for leaking acid and ruining your expensive electronics. I've seen people bring back $50 toys because a $1 battery leaked and fried the motherboards. Now, you might be asking, Cody, is there anything worth buying? Of course there is. I'm not saying the whole store is a wash. If you're looking for greeting cards, party balloons, or seasonal gift bags. Go nuts. Those are the high-margin items that actually offer great value. But when it comes to things you put in your body, on your skin, or into your wall outlets, the dollar price tag is a warning sign, not a deal. The secret to being a smart shopper isn't just about finding the lowest price, it's about knowing the true cost of what you're buying. Retailers count on you being too busy to check the unit price or the ingredient list. They count on the treasure hunt dopamine hit to blind you to the fact that you're sometimes paying 30% more for a smaller, lower quality version of a product. I know this was a lot to take in, but I want you to be armed with the truth next time you walk through those sliding glass doors. If this insider look helped you rethink your shopping list, do me a favor and share this video with a friend who loves a bargain. You might just save them a lot of money and a massive headache. Thanks for sticking with me through the Dollar Tree danger zones. I've got plenty more retail secrets to share from my years on the inside.